Okay, welcome to this presentation of professional Christmas light installation. Like I explained, this is a presentation that I give to all of our new installers for the year. We typically hire between 15 and 20 new employees to come and hang Christmas lights with us for the year, for the season. This is the educational classroom portion of the onboarding, just meant to get them caught up to speed with terminology, different types of products, uh, kind of like the thought behind a lot of decisions. And then it dives into we go from here and straight into a hands on training portion. This is strictly just the classroom stuff that I'm going to share with you. So let's go over what we're going to be learning. So we have the introduction to the business model. A lot of you are familiar with it. Different types of lights, equipment needed, um, different electrical stuff. Really brief introduction to electrical. Electrical is the hardest part of the whole equation, so I like to get ahead of it. So that this is just a classroom portion of the electrical, different types of clips, installation, takedown, sales, and then, like I said, the demonstration. So let's dive straight into this. Introduction to the business model. There's an error here in the presentation. I apologize. This says buy model. This right here is supposed to say lease model. So let's pretend that's lease. But let's go over the buy model, pros and cons. Pros for us, we don't have to go back and maintain any of the lights. So if customers' bulbs die, squirrels chew through wires, gardener runs over cords, that's not on our financial dime to go and fix it. Now, you probably will go and fix it, but you'll charge a customer. It's nice. The buy model is nice because the customers store their lights. You don't have to rent storage space or get a warehouse or whatever, and it's cheaper for the customers. It's expensive year one, but the price goes down year two, year three. The cons of this: the lights don't become an asset to the company. The lights belong to the customers, not to the company. So you don't see that on your balance sheet as a pro or an asset. It's cheaper in subsequent years. We don't like that. Limited recurring revenue. It's very common for customers to get set up the first year with a professional light company under the buy model, and then they don't need you the second year. They can hire a kid down the street or a handyman, and um, you're left out of the picture. And then it is a con also that customers store lights. You lose that leverage by holding on to the lights. When the customer holds their lights, like I said, kind of goes to the last point. They don't need you, and so you lose that stickiness of the customer. Now, like I said, this is supposed to be lease model, so forgive me for that. The pros of the lease model: sticky customers. They come back year after year after year. The inventory, you own it, so each year you're adding lights to your balance sheet, which increases your enterprise value. You can charge for this white glove service. Like, we'll go over to what the whole is included in the lease model, but it's done for you service as opposed to like a DIY type of vibe. Because you're holding on to the lights, because you're doing a good job, your customer retention is going to be greater. The price does not change year after year, so you can continue to charge the same price year two, year three, meaning greater profits because the lights are already paid off in the first year. And then the best part of this is that, if the customer moves out of the state or doesn't want to use you again, no big deal. You don't lose those lights. You just put them on someone else's house. The cons: some customers will hesitate because they want to own their lights or they want a specific type of lights and you just don't carry that in stock. You'll need to get storage, which is, can cost money. And then, if stuff does happen, gardeners aren't careful, lights keep burning out, you are responsible for sending someone back and fixing that. So installing properly the first time is absolutely crucial. So what's better? You all know my answer to this. We only do the lease model. And let me walk you a little bit through what the lease model incurs. So under the lease model, we do everything for the customer. I like to go out during my estimates and be like, Mrs. Jones, our goal is that this is the most you have to do during the entire process. You're telling me right now where you want the material, where you want your lights on. I'm going to handle the rest from start to finish. you don't have to worry about a thing. But what that includes in the lease model, all material, timers, extension cords, clips, blah, 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 all included. Obviously, we're going to do the install. If something happens to the lights while they're up, we're going to go back and fix it. Just give us a call, and then we'll take them down. And because it's a lease, we're going to store them from you, and you don't have to worry about finding space in your garage. Another benefit of the lease model is it gives customers the ability to change designs year after year. Say year 2, they come to you and they're like, hey, I hate the color. I want to do multicolor now. Or, I don't want to do the roof, whatever. Now they're not stuck with a bunch of lights that they purchased the year before that they have no use for. They can just swap it out, swap out the color. The price may change a little bit, may go down, may go up, but they're not left with like a waste of product. And because we are responsible for maintaining the lights, it is in our best interest to take the best care that we can of them. We want the lights to work for 3, 4, 5 years before we have to be replaced. So we want to install them in a professional manner. We want to store them in a professional manner. And it's in everybody's best interest to take proper care of the lights. Oftentimes what I get when talking to customers during estimates is like, oh, well, I had another company and they just didn't show up. Like, how do I know you're going to show back up to take my lights down? Well, Mr. Jones, since there are lights, like it's in our best interest that we take them back with us so we can use them the next year. This is something I usually like to say. All right, so that's the lease model. That's why we do it. Most professional installers choose to do the lease model. Kind of old school to do the buy model, and it's just more complicated, honestly. Let's go over different types of lights. We keep it very basic. You should too. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, but if you really want to scale the business and hire people, simplicity scales, complexity does not. So remember that. We keep it basic. So let's go over, there's a couple different types of bulbs. Really simple though. So the first one is the C9. This is what it looks like. They come in big. So the bulbs come individual. The clips come individual. The wiring comes in big spools like this. So you can get it up to 1,000 feet. They have smaller 500, 250, 75, I think, feet strands. 1,000 is fine because you cut them to whatever size you want. And then the inches between each wire varies. I recommend 15-inch spacing. Some people do 12, but you charge the same price. You charge per foot, and if you're charging 15 inches, if it's 15-inch spacing and you're charging by foot, you actually have like a margin of 3 inches, which is really nice, right? On a 1,000-foot spool, right? If you're 12 inches spacing, that means you're going to have 1,000 bulbs that you need to screw on, and you'll charge the same price per foot. If you're 15, I think it's 820, something like that, bulbs that you need for the same 1,000 feet. So you make money. So the colors, this is just what we do, so you can change it. But the colors that we do are warm white, multicolor, and candy cane. Candy cane is nothing fancy. It just means that we do 2 warm white bulbs followed by 2 red bulbs. So we'll buy 2,000 red bulbs separately. And then if customers need candy cane or want candy cane, we'll throw them in. We're not stealing from our multicolor bags. Exceptions can always be made, especially if they give you enough warning or it's early in the season. I'm all for that. This, like I said, since it's 1,000 foot, you can cut it specifically to the length that you need. And these are installed on roof lines, really big trees, outside tree wraps, yard outlines, which is a really easy upsell, window outlines. We used to do a lot of window outlines. They're the biggest callback, biggest complaint. They cause me the most headaches, so we're not going to do them anymore. And the cool thing about this, and this kind of ties into the electrical stuff, is that this wiring is the same gauge as our electrical cord, meaning that we could put a plug anywhere on this cord and use it for power. And just something to keep in mind, we call these bulb parties. We'll buy like boxes of pizza and drinks and whatnot, and we'll get everybody out there to bulb all in one go. Make it fun because all these need to be bulbed individually, which takes a lot of time. The other types of light are the 5 millimeter mini lights. They come in ball form. Specifically, when you buy these, you want to make sure that they're come in balls and they don't have tags on them. Some suppliers do keep the tags on. Some, they should all be balled, but it just makes it easier to install. So these typically come in 25-foot sections. These cannot be cut like the C9 can, so don't cut them. You will have to throw it away. And the colors that we carry, same as pretty much the C9, warm white, multicolor, and then sometimes for our fancy customers, the customers that pay us a lot of money, or have fancy properties or cities or whatever, we do sometimes do twinkle warm whites, which are really cool. Again, exceptions can always be made. We have a customer that does a fully purple tree. It looks really cool, but she just really wanted purple. And like I said, these can be installed on inner tree wraps, outer trees. So C9s on really big, think like oak trees or pine trees. The bigger the tree, the bigger the bulb. Small trees, you'll want to use these 5 millimeter mini lights, bushes, pillars, and balconies. So let's talk about equipment needed. I made a post on this, but this will help you get a better idea. Okay. So I don't know what the heck that is. I had someone edit this presentation, and I don't know what that is. So let's talk about personal equipment. So we have needle nose pliers, right? These are a tool that you use all the time to cut things, to cut wires, to put on plugs, all that stuff. It's really helpful to have. DeWalt stapler, specifically DeWalt. The reason for this is if you look at your the thickness of this wire and this wire, it fits perfectly in the little groove, the little alignment groove on these DeWalt staplers, so you won't puncture when you just go to staple something. It won't puncture the cord. So specifically the DeWalt stapler. The other thing is portable GFCI outlet. GFCIs are like new for outlets. They help protect surges in power. So think by your bathroom sink probably. There's a little reset button. That's a GFCI. Some of the older houses don't have it. So when we're installing, we'll put a portable one on. And that will help us, just in case there is a surge in power, it will stop it from happening instead of it tripping the breaker. That's a kind of a pro tip, especially if the breaker is inside like the garage and the customer's not home. Then if you trip it accidentally, now you can't finish the install because the power is not working. Paint scraper, we use paint scrapers to get underneath shingles for the installation of roof lines. That's really helpful. And then just a vehicle equipment, I recommend a big extension ladder. 28 feet is fine. 32 gets pretty heavy at that point. A little giant ladder and probably an extension pole is really all you need for equipment rise. Electrical, really brief. I'll just go over what electrical is. So this is X wire. X wire is just like our C9 bulbs. It comes in bulk. 1,000 feet, 250 feet, 500. I recommend for this one to get 500 feet sizes. These little plastic coverings break like really easily, and then this just gets to be a tangled mess, and now you pretty much can't use it because it's such a pain in the ass. So the 500 feet don't break as easy because it's not as heavy. Again, this can be cut. This is what you use for your extension cords, by the way. It can be cut to any length. Like I said in the beginning, or when I was talking about the C9s, this is the same gauge. Comes in SBT1, SBT2. That doesn't really mean anything to you. Typically, I do hear that I don't have this problem because I don't live in a cold area, but SBT2 wire is better in colder, wetter environments, just a little bit thicker. SBT1 is what we use. It works fine for us. Whatever you do. So, sorry, I jumped it. SBT1, SBT2 here. This comes in SBT1 or SBT2. Whatever you choose, whatever gauge you choose, you want to make sure that the gauges are the same. So if you choose SBT1 for this one, make sure that your X wire is also SBT1 or vice versa. And because these come in bulk spools and you cut them, you have to install plugs onto them. These are called vampire plugs. You can't see the back of it, but on the back of these things, it looks like little vampire teeth, like little pointy teeth that puncture these things, and that's how you wire up extension cords. You also need to put these on the back of your C9 wire as well. So you'll go through a lot. Be careful though, like don't waste these. These are like 14 cents a piece, so they add up, but they come in bags of like 25. But you know, it's not necessarily cheap. This is a GFCI, portable GFCI. It's in the electrical section because it protects you. So you put it on the outlet that doesn't have a GFCI. It protects you. Go about installing, and then you remove it when you're done because you know there's no problems with it. Timer. This is a photocell timer. What a photocell timer does, you set it to either on all the time, dusk till dawn. What is that? 2 hour, 4 hours, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hours. Oh no, not 12 hours. Excuse me. What this does is it notices when the sky gets dark, and it will go on for whatever setting that you have. So if it gets dark and you have it 2 hours, it will stay on for 2 hours before it shuts off. If it's on dusk till dawn, it will go until it gets light again. Digital timer. These ones are cool. You set the time that it currently is, and then you set the time that you want it to go on, and you set the time that you want it to go off. Photocell timers is what we use for most of our residential installs. They're cheaper. That's why we use them. And they're just easier to set up. Digital timers we use for customers that specifically request it, or complex installs that have multiple outlets involved, or multiple different areas that we're installing on. Because we're a professional installation company, we want all the lights to turn on at the same time. And so sometimes if we use a photocell in different places, one will turn on. 5 minutes later, another one will turn on. So if we use the digital one and set them all to the same time, they'll all go on at the same time. Another thing to keep in mind is, say you're doing like a heavy traffic area, like a car dealership or a restaurant, you know, a lot of stuff that gets like a lot of cars driving by, or street lights. Sometimes those lights will trick a photocell timer. So it's better to put a digital timer in the place of that when, you know, maybe a floodlight is shining on it. Okay, let's go over to just some basic electrical knowledge. All the lights we're using, low energy LED lights. Customers probably won't even notice a change in their electrical bill. Because they're professional grade, you can install a lot more lights than you probably could have with a Home Depot bought stuff. So C9, you could put 350 lights back to back to back before needing to go back to the power source. So before terminating it and running a new wire to that run of another 350. Same thing with mini lights. You can put 45 strands back to back to back before needing to go back to the electrical source. Anything more will probably blow the fuse. I always recommend to my guys to do the installs with power running through. So we do carry, when we're doing installs, temporary electrical cords. So those are like your typical orange electrical cords from the convenience store, or the hardware store. So when they get to the job, they just get going. They plug straight into the power. They'll put the GFCI in. they'll put their temporary electric cord and then start installing with electricity running. That way, if bulbs are out, or if when you do a lot of these and you have multiple customers, multiple colors, sometimes you don't realize like, oh, this is the wrong color light that I'm installing. Installing with electricity running helps you catch those mistakes before you get to the end and have to get back on the roof, or change a tree because it's the wrong color. And then when we're done, we'll put the permanent power in, which is the X wire, and make it look all nice. We use a DeWalt stapler because putting a staple through the wire will short it. So the groove is perfect for the thickness of our wires, which is helpful. Like I said, the X wire and your roof line stuff, your C9 bulbs, are the same gauge, meaning that you can pull pull electricity from C9 wire and vice versa. So in a real world example, say you have a peaked roof, you have C9 lights going up the peak, right? And then you want to put a wreath in the middle of this peak right there on my forehead. Instead of, the wreath has lights. So instead of running an extension cord up, and you can see this really long cord of extension cord, you can put a female plug in between two bulbs on the roof, drop a tiny little X wire cord, jumper cord, and plug straight into there. So you don't have to have like a big ugly green cord running up the side of the house. That's a real world example. And then lastly, what separates professional installers from average Joe's installers? Some people think it's design or the types of bulb. Really, it's how well you hide cords. So burying cords when you can, running them along the side of grass so they're not cutting through all over the grass, tucking them behind downspouts of gutters so you can't see them and then it just shows up at the top. That's what separates us from average Joes. Let's talk clips here. So again, we keep the clips super simple. My first year, I bought all different types of clips for all different things, and it's not necessary. So these are the main clips that we use. We use this tough clip, or a knockoff version of the tough clip. So how this goes, think of those C9 bulbs where you have the bulb and then you have the cord. So you put this in first, and you screw the bulb over it, and it stays in place. So each socket has a tough clip. And this we use for gutters, right? Stick them on the gutters. Or if they're just shingles, we'll flip it the other way so the bulb is now facing up, and we will slide it up underneath. This is called a shingle tab and a parapet clip. So technically, like if you wanted to get fancy and use shingle clips for your shingles, and you want the bulbs facing out, you would just slide this underneath the shingle and now the bulb would face out. That's fine. You can do that. You just now need to re-screw all those bulbs with shingle clips. So like when we're doing our bulbing parties, every single bulb will get a tough clip. That way it's just standard. It's easy. So we only use the shingle clip and the parapet clip together when we have flat roofs. So say like car dealerships or just customers that have flat roofs, no shingles, no gutters. What happens? You glue this base down, hot glue it down. Now that's a base that stays there permanently. You slide this shingle tab onto this little bracket thing, and now the bulb is facing out. That's the only time that we use the shingle tabs like that. They do sell too. I didn't mention it in the type of lights, but they do have C9 socket wire with magnets on the back. They're called Lightnetics. So if you do have like a metal flashing, specifically for commercial buildings, typically do, you can forgo the gluing of these clips down for a flat roof. And if it's metal, you just stick magnets on. That's really nice if you can get away with it. Just talked about it. So different type of clip, magnet clips, Lightnetics. So you can either buy these already with the cord already with the magnets on. That's what Lightnetics is. they're really expensive, or you can just buy these clips. They come on Amazon too, which is nice. They're not as strong, but they work just as fine. Sometimes, if the roof is not metal, it's like a plaster. What we'll do is we'll hot glue washers instead of these parapet clips. We'll hot glue washers down instead, and then use magnet clips on those washers. That's like a pro tip right there. The other one is yard stakes. We do this all the time. So this is how we do our yard outlines with the C9 bulb. It's super easy to do. It's a good upsell. We charge like the same price as the roof, but you don't have to get on the roof. So that's nice. Those are really the only clips we use. There are a bunch of different ones if you want to get fancy with it, but I don't like getting fancy with it. Okay, let's talk about just different types of installations that you can do. So for inside tree wraps, we have a couple different versions, option A, option B, option C. Option A is just the trunks. So think of palm trees. You know, there's no branches, so you're just doing the trunks. We got fancy with this, the one and did the fronds. Not necessary though. Option B is the trunks, the main trunks, and then the branches that split out. This is like your most typical one. It gives the look of the tree without getting super crazy. So this is really typical. And option C is like all the branches all the way to the very ends. It's very bougie. It costs the most money. Very little customers do this because it obviously takes more lights, takes more time. Roof line. So here you can see how the C9 cord comes with and then you clip it, and then you clip the bulb over it, and they go on the gutter facing out. So that's roof lines. Ridge lines gives you like this candy cane look where you go on the top. This is where our paint scraper comes in handy, because these like ridge caps for shingle roofs are pretty tight. They're pretty tarred down. So we will like kind of loosen them up with a paint scraper to get the lights underneath it. Window outlines around here. Again, we're just hot gluing them around the window. They're a pain in the ass though. And you can see here, like we wired this from this electrical source. So this is the C9. We jumped it over, and now we just have a little, then we started electricity over here. Or you could see better here too. So we had bulbs running here. We put an inline female vampire plug here, dropped wire down, and then started power right there. Lawn outlines, you can see here as well as here. These are all lawn stakes. Bushes. Bushes are easy. You want to do a random S pattern. This is why I don't recommend estimating in public, or estimating over the phone, excuse me, just because if you get a bush wrong, it can get really expensive really fast. As in like an expensive mistake, because if you miscalculate how many strands you need to put on, now you're going to lose money. Outside tree wraps. So this is what I was saying. The bigger the tree, the bigger the bulb. So these trees here, this one specifically, we did something like unique for these trees. I was just testing something out that I saw. I saw these at Disneyland, so ignore that. I was just playing with a design. But these are C9 bulbs wrapped around. These are mini lights wrapped around because it's a smaller tree. Balconies. We use mini lights for balconies. You can do swag, which is like a loop, half loop, like a U. You can do double swag, which is once you get to your end, you'll come back at like a lesser height. So it's double. And then you can do diamond or a V, right? You keep going all the way along here in V. And then to diamond, you just double back opposite. We just zip tie those to all the railings. Columns and pillars, you start at the top and work your way down, because you're going to pull power from the roof line here. Drop it power, drop it power, drop power, drop power, drop power, wrap down, done. Wreaths and garland. This is a really fancy garland. Just remember, wreaths and garland, you have to, if you're going to do the lease model, you need to find a place to store it, which is, it just takes up more room. So garland, some wreaths are split in the middle so the gate can open on both sides. Garland, all this is just zip tied down. Most of it already comes with lights. Some don't. These are just fancy stuff. These are called Starburst. We do a lot of these. They're not super worth it, in my opinion. It just takes time because you have to climb up the tree, wrap it around a bunch of times, and then it's a bunch of X wire in here to get power to all these places. These are just mini lights that we double back on. We just loop them up and they hang down. It looks kind of cool. Okay, let's talk about how installation should work. This is really just a kind of a framework for how your crew should go about installing lights. So when they show up to the customer's house, first thing you want to do is just confirm the quote with the customer, make sure everybody's on the same page. Then you're going to plug your GFCI, your temporary GFCI and extension cords into the outlet. Then your roof guy is going to get on the roof and they're going to start installing the roof. Your tree guy or your floor guy will start wrapping up trees. Whoever's like worse on ladders or worse on heights should do all the trees, should do all the bushes, all that stuff. The roof guy is going to finish before the tree guy. So he'll hop down and he'll start wiring all the permanent power. He'll wire his roof, and then he'll start following the tree guy, wiring up the tree guy. And then once the whole installation is done, electrical looks good, set up the timer with the customer. So ask the customer what the preference is for, how long they want the lights to go on. Kind of troubleshoot it with them, make sure they know how it works. And then you want to just clean up all the end caps and the X wire backings and clips and anything that you may have left behind and make it look nice. Really simple, harder to execute. Okay, let's talk takedown. All right, so for takedowns, this is just a little bit about how takedowns work. It's probably the thing that's like most often neglected during people that are also training other people on Christmas lights, excuse me. But takedowns are equally, if not more important than the installation. It's really easy for takedowns during the takedown period that you're just burnt out at that point. You've worked like 8 really long weeks. You're just burnt out. You just want them to be done and you want to take a break. At least I do. So it's really easy to like just half-ass this and like throw them into a bin and then worry about it next year. But next year is really the time where you get to make like more money, more margin, because all the hard work of like cutting stuff and like designing stuff was done the year before. So it should be easier the second year, not harder. So it is important to do a good job on takedowns. So let's just dive into it. Like I said, takedowns are more as important as the install. The better you do the takedown this year, the easier next year is going to be. This is something just to keep in mind with like doing the install. You want to do the best job that you can possibly do, from customer service to installation, because the more people we can get to sign up next year, the more money we make at higher margins. So the goal is to always install the same lights for the same customer year after year. So use a really detailed map, do a really good job, and you'll make way more money the subsequent years. So we use different colored zip ties to signify like the starts of like roof line runs or extension cords or just different things. And so when we draw our maps of the house, we use those corresponding colored markers to show like, okay, this colored zip tie goes up this side of the house, and we draw it with the same color on the map. So then you're going to do a good job of winding everything up. You're going to reball your mini lights, and all that is going to go into one of those 27-gallon storage totes from Home Depot or Costco, Sam's Club. You can buy them in bulk. It is important that if you buy them from Home Depot, continue to buy them from Home Depot. If you buy them from Costco, keep buying them from Costco, because they have different lids. So if you mix and match, they don't stack properly. Ask me how I know. So everything goes in there. The map goes in there. You put a piece of duct tape on the outside, write the customer's name, store it away, and just stack them. So how we do takedowns then, logistically, we start pretty much the first day of the new year, the first working day of the new year. And we go city by city. We let the customers know like a day in advance that, hey, we're coming. And then you want to group them up so you're not going all over town. Obviously, some customers have specific days and you work with that. And then we want to have them all down by the end of January, weather permitting. Some places, if you get snow, you can't really do takedowns until March when the ice defreezes. But they can be left up longer if customers let us know in advance. And then a really cool kind of thing that you want to be doing during takedowns or instruct your crews to do during takedowns is it's a good time to upsell stuff. So since you have, say you have an exterior cleaning company or a gutter cleaning company, since you already have the ladder out, you might as well be like, hey, since I'm up here, I can give you $50 off your gutter cleaning, blah, blah, blah. The reason you do this is you need to be putting away money from your lights to be able to afford the takedowns. Takedowns can be all labor, zero revenue during those months, right? So you want to we try to incorporate some revenue generating activities during those takedowns to kind of offset the cost. Another thing we started doing is just like your dentist does. When we're doing takedowns, we ask them, hey, how was everything? Did you have a nice holiday? Everything was great. We love the lights. Great, Mrs. Jones. Can I put you down for the same installation date this year? And they're like, yeah, just put me down. Don't worry about deposits. Don't worry about confirming scheduling. Just get them down so you have like some solid data of like who's going to be coming back next year. So that's really nice to get some revenue on the books. So like I said about the maps, for installations that consist of more than one run or electrical source, we use zip ties to signify where they are. So we use a color marker and zip tie system. The blue zip ties, this is just what we did, always signify the cord that goes from the main cord that goes from the outlet to the first run. So that's always blue. The blue is always means the outlet that we use. And then we draw the map. We match the colors to the markers. We take a picture of that map and upload it into our CRM so everybody's involved and it's easy. There's a digital copy of it, but we put the map in the box. All the lights go in the box, duct tape it, and everything goes in. This is just about creating light balls. So like I said, you want to buy the 5 millimeters in ball form. Now you want to put them back in ball form. So how that works is you wrap it up, you take the female end, wrap it around your hand a couple times, take your hand out and wrap it into a ball, and then you tuck it. If you don't tuck it, the balls I think are actually animated, and when you store them, if they're not tucked, they like move around and get tangled. I don't know how, but I think they're alive. Runs, we just wind these up like you do an extension cord, and then we'll zip tie them so they stay in place and they're easy to pull out. But this is what a box looks like. And then let's quickly go over sales. So sales is what I pretty much do, and recruiting. But for us, we have $1,000 minimum. That includes everything: materials, maintenance, extension cords, timers, takedown, storage. Again, the benefits of the lease allows customers to switch product without being stuck with stuff. So flexibility and ease of mind. They don't have to worry about anything. And if stuff gets damaged, we'll fix it. And then pricing. So C is measured by the linear foot. So all roofline stuff measured by linear foot. Mini lights are sold by the strand. So if you're new to this, a good way to estimate mini lights is to just buy, either use a strand or buy like 20-foot section of like a nylon rope and take that with you to your estimates. And you can kind of like do one strand up a tree or one rope up a tree to see how far one gets you, and then you can kind of mentally see how many lights you need. I've done it so much that I can just look at a tree and say like, oh, that's going to be 10 strands, and then I multiply it by my thing. But another thing you want to keep in mind is that as the season gets long and you start installing, you're going to start running out of time. Customers are going to start to get more desperate, and you are going to run out of material. So supply and demand, basic economics. When you start running low on supply, start increasing your pricing. So we usually start out a base and then increase every week or so. And then lastly, about deposits, this is my big thing that I like to share. Collect 50% deposits upon selling. This is going to finance your whole operation. And then the remainder is due upon installation. So what you're selling, just in terms of like psychology, you're selling like emotional service. You want to encourage people to feel like, you know, how they were a kid. You're selling that holiday joy, so you're really appealing to an emotional side. The line I really like to use is Mrs. Jones. It's our goal that this is the only part of the process that you should take place in is the design portion. I will take it from here. And then just a little bit about discounts that we use. This is how you can get a really large installation business is by getting people to install earlier and earlier each year. Our first installation is already scheduled for October 1st this year. So we do a 15% early installation discount if it's before November 1st. This just allows us to put up a majority of the stuff. Obviously, they don't have to turn the lights on until they want to, but we'll get a majority of the work done. And then after Thanksgiving, we usually go back if they have wreaths or greenery or garland, and we'll install all that stuff that is like noticeable. And then if, you know, it's part of our early season marketing, say people like they don't want to get installed early, but they do want to get just on the schedule now, we get them $100 off for just being early to book. And then this is what my sales sheet looks like. So here I kind of sketch out the front, like, so this is the front side of the house, left side, right side, back. I kind of sketch out where things are going. And then so my circles are roof lines. And then my squares are windows or bushes. But I number everything that I'm doing. This is just kind of so the customer, we're on the same page with the customer, and then my installation crews know exactly where they're going to be installing. So here, right, the numbers correspond with the line items here, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. I do the bulb, what type of bulb? So warm white C9, warm white C9, warm white C9. This second one is mini C9, or mini warm white, excuse me. So, and then I write a description. So front roof line. So it looks like there's a roof line here, roof line here. 2, there's a railing here. So they're going to wrap mini lights around the railing. And then 3 is there's window outlines. And then I measure, right? So 72 feet, 112 feet. So 72 times my price, 112 feet minus my price per foot. And then mini lights, this is 17 mini lights. And then I just multiply by my price, and that's how I get to it. And then I take a picture of this. It goes into the customer's account, and they can pick and choose what they want. That's what these little things are for. So say they don't want to do number 2, I'll just check off 1 and 3, and that's what's going to make it to my final CRM. So that's, pretty much my onboarding thing. It's really just brief to get people to know how to like read the estimate sheets. What if I'm talking to my crews and I'm like, hey, grab some tough clips. They know what a tough clip is. They know what C9 is. They know what mini lights are. They know what a GFCI is. So it's a lot of terminology stuff, but that is like the onboarding presentation. Again, we go straight into like the hands-on. This is how you actually do an installation thing. But this is meant to get people caught up as quickly as they can. The last thing I just want to mention, of course, is we have our Festive Fortune coaching program. It's starting really soon. It's 8 weeks. It's meant to handhold you through a lot of the back end business stuff, how to set up your CRM, how to market your business, what you need to be prepared for the season, how to sell, how to price things. Really, I'm holding your hands. And the goal is to get people to 6 figures in 6 weeks. That's not our guarantee. Our guarantee is 10 times the price of the program. The program is $19.97. That covers the 8 weeks of coaching. So if you don't make $20,000 just with the coaching, I'm going to give you your full money back. Honestly, I think it could be a lot higher of a guarantee, but right now we're at 10 times ROI guarantee. So really, the goal is to have no risk to you because I believe in the system and I believe what I can do for you guys so much. But outside of the 8 weeks, what's included is I have a whole library and file of all of my marketing materials, training videos, these estimate sheets available for download, my scripts, my admin systems, my telephone scripts, pricing sheets, all that stuff is available to download, as well as our community of other installers, people taking the program that know what they're doing, are available to encourage and help and inspire you, as well as me posting like what I'm actively doing and when I'm doing it, so you guys can follow along and just copy what I'm doing and be successful. And then as well as everybody who is in the program has access to my vendor discounts, because we come in such a large group, you can get access to that. So all this can be found at festivefortune.com. Like I said, it's $19.97, but we're starting in 4 days, and we'll start every month as well with a new group. But it's meant to take people that have never done this before or people that are just starting out and to generate lots and lots of money in just a couple weeks' time. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the program.